Hi friend, recall that we discussed different forms of business ownership structures in the last few lessons, such as sole proprietorship and partnership. In today's lesson, we will learn about limited liability companies, another form of business ownership structure. A limited liability company is a business organization whose owners are legally responsible for its debt only to the extent of the amount of capital they contributed. The main principle of a limited liability company lies in the fact that the liability of the owners is limited to the value of money each has contributed to the business. Generally, there are two main types of limited liability companies, namely the private limited liability company and the public limited liability company. In this lesson, we will focus on the private limited liability company. A private limited liability company is defined as one whose rules, or more formally called articles, include three conditions. First, the right to transfer its shares is restricted. Second, the number of shareholders must be between 2 to 50. And third, the public may not be invited to subscribe for its shares. The name of the private limited liability company must end with the abbreviation of limited. For instance, U Construction Limited. What are the characteristics of private limited liability companies? The first characteristic of the private limited liability company is that the membership ranges from 2 to 50 shareholders. Secondly, the main aim of private limited liability companies is to make a profit. Furthermore, the capital required to set up and run a private limited liability company is provided by the shareholders in the form of shares. However, the shares are not sold to the general public. They are sold privately and cannot be transferred. A private limited liability company's shareholders have limited liability. In the event of liquidation, the amount a shareholder can lose is limited to his shares or the capital he invested in the business. The company cannot sell the shareholder's personal property to pay off its debts. Furthermore, a private limited liability company is a separate legal entity and different from the business owners. The business can sue or be sued in its name without involving the owners. Finally, private limited liability companies are managed by a board of directors who are appointed by shareholders. The board of directors will, in turn, elect themselves a managing director or appoint a salaried manager from outside the membership. Okay, friend, that is all for this lesson. Let's quickly recap to ensure we recall all we have learned in this lesson. A limited liability company is a business organization whose owners are legally responsible for its debt only to the extent of the amount of capital they contributed. There are two types of limited liability companies, namely the private limited liability company and the public limited liability company. A private limited liability company is defined as one which by its article restricts the right to transfer its shares, limits the number of shareholders from 2 to 50, prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for its shares. And that's it, my friend. I'll see you in another lesson. Bye.